How's it going tonight? Just wanted to come in and do a quick update. As you can hear, my voice is thrashed. It was a long weekend. As many of you know, this is my first official convention back post nap. So I have been looking forward to this. And I did not take it easy on myself. I jumped right in. Rather than doing a 1 day thing or something like that, I jumped right in and did a 3 day weekend at the Ancient City Con. And so tonight, I just wanted to go ahead and schedule a recap, because I think if I didn't schedule to do this live, I probably wouldn't. I would just put it off. I'd get busy, and I've got tons of things to do. I've got tons of stuff to draw, things to letter. I got to get books ready to go to the printer. We've got another convention on October 8th that we're going to be in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So a lot going on. So I know that if I didn't do this tonight, number one, it wouldn't be fresh, and number two, it wouldn't happen. So here I am. Probably not going to be real long tonight. Thinking a half hour, 45 minutes, unless the chat room fills up and people start talking and asking questions, in which point I'll continue to riff with that. But it's just going to be me tonight. I'm going to tell a few stories. I'm going to let you know kind of what happened there, some of the things that I observed, which I think not only impact my business, but the indie comic business for all of us, and then go over a few of the limitations that I found that I had. So again, as I said, many of you know that I last year I got sick around this time. Actually, last year this time I was asleep. I was in a coma, fighting a COVID variant of COVID called the Delta variant that almost took my life. And so October 6th will be my wake up date, and I've had a long recovery since then. As you can tell, I've gotten a lot better. Many of you have followed that progress with me, and I was really looking forward to getting back out with people. Social media has been great. YouTube's been great. I am grateful for the community that surrounds me during the time while I was sick, and helping my family, taking up donations, sending money, selling their art like Don Chen did, just to take care of us, to help us out a little bit. And I mean, just tremendous, but nothing's quite as good as getting out in front of people and getting to meet new people. You can only really cut through the haze and the noise of social media and YouTube so much until you actually can get in front of people. So I'm gonna be drinking a little bit while I, like, not booze, but like Buc-ee's soda. You drink a little bit to keep things lubricated, because like I said, I definitely thrashed my voice. So the convention was this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so most of the conventions, when they're a 3 day weekend, Fridays are typically not so busy. People are really shopping. They're going to spend their money on Saturday or Sunday. And Sundays are hit or miss. It's kind of a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get. But Saturdays are usually pretty well attended, especially this one, where they've got a lot of cosplay stuff going on. And so you do have a lot of cosplayers in it. So first and foremost, we did a really good, we had a really profitable week. The weekend was really well. We made back the table fee, made back any little extras that we would have used for that, and then even had a little extra money, just to play just a tiny bit. But yeah, it was pretty good. And yes, and Andrew, I'm just seeing you here, just for people that watch this in playback. Andrew says, praise God for helpful friends and family. And absolutely, I'll tell you, it makes such a huge impact on a person's life, whether they're a creator, whether they're, just a guy that, or a gal, just having the, helpful friends and family makes such an impact. And it certainly did. And I used the strong bodies and voices of my family this weekend. So Friday, Beth joined me at the convention. Saturday was Corey's turn. She's quite the salesman, so she really rocked it on Saturday. And Gavin joined me today. And so the 3 days were really good. Uh, um, I've realized that there's a lot about fandom that I didn't know, or I don't know, and I kind of felt like a little bit out of place for a geek, a nerd that normally feels out of place. To feel even more out of place was kind of odd, but it was a good time. We did have a there was a lot of a really good energy about it. I wound up getting next to another creator who's from Jacksonville, who's writing a book and has his first issue out, and just his excitement was it was just kind of infectious, So I really enjoyed being next to him, getting to meet him and some other folks in the area that are doing the comic books thing. I met Death Metal Hero, Luke, the Dark Luke, and I'm the Light Luke, so we got to meet each other this week, which was really cool. It was nice to connect with some people that I know from YouTube and from Twitter in person. That was really nice. There wasn't a lot of indie comics there. Now, Scout had a panel. They had a whole bunch of people there, but as far as indie creators or small publishers, I didn't see a lot of them there. There were just a handful, which is I was used to seeing more. But there were a lot of crafts and a lot of stores, and there's all kinds of neat things there. A lot of stuff really geared towards cosplay, and that was interesting. To kind of be, but I kind of like being one of the only ones there. It gives me a better chance to put books in people's hands. Now, I'll tell you, one of the things that I know that I really learned, and as I observed, is a lot of people, they don't care about some of the more political things that we read about on social media news. They really just want to be entertained, and they want to read good stories. The other thing that I've learned that so I have a pinup that I drew of She-Hulk. There's a lot of people that don't really care for the way She-Hulk is designed, which I thought this was just a few people were upset with it. But I mean, people are like, no, that they look at it no, that's what She-Hulk should look like. And so I was hearing a lot of kind of those kind of topics and stuff being said, where people just really are hungry for something that's good, and they don't want to be reminded that the world sucks. Is one of the big takeaways from the weekend. Is that they just don't want to be reminded that the world sucks. That it's pretty clear. And I think conventions, one of the cool things about conventions is that it is a free place for just everybody to let their weirdness show. And it's no, there's no judgment for the weirdness. And boy, did it get weird. My son today, a couple of weird things happened, and he looked at me like, "Dad, is this how this always goes?" And I said, "Actually, son, this was pretty mild compared to Saturday. Saturday was a really weird day. Even my neighbor next to me, at one point, somebody walked by, and it was just one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. And I'm having a reaction, and as I look over, he's having a reaction. And I said, "Hey, is it just me, or was that really weird?" He goes, "No, that was really weird." And I don't want to bring it up because I don't want anyone to feel bad if they happen to find themselves watching this. Like, "Well, I was that really weird guy that Luke and these other guys were focused on." So yeah, some really weird things. Anime. Oh my gosh, the amount of anime and manga cosplay was just out of this world. I mean, just so many. I can see why, if it's reflective of the market, then yeah, I can see how Western comics are struggling, because I didn't see a lot of mainstream characters being cosplayed. I saw a lot of these anime and manga characters being cosplayed, and I did have an opportunity to talk a few folks into grabbing my trade paperback, which was pretty fun. Now, there were a lot of I sold a lot. I almost sold out. I only have 3 of the trades left. But a couple of things, really odd things happened. is one day, Beth was talking. This was on Friday, and a lot of weird things happened on Friday too, like notably funny things. Beth asked a guy if he liked comic books, and he said, "I don't know what those are." And we had a pirate, because we're in St. Augustine, so we had a pirate across from us, and he's doing his pirate thing, and Beth stops and has no idea how to respond. I freeze. The pirate stops talking and turns around and looks at the guy. And the dude's friend looks like, "Seriously, dude, you don't know what a comic book is?" And he goes, "Oh, I misunderstood. I know what a comic book is." So that was notably funny. But probably my favorite one is I was talking with a customer and kind of giving this spiel about the comics and what it's about and all those kind of things, and she was talking with someone else, and as she talks to the guy about a comic book that's based on Nephilim, these angel human hybrids who are in major world religions and influence all of the cultures, mythologies. She gets to all that whole thing and talks about them having powers and all that. And the guy looks at her with a straight face and says, "I don't think that's very believable." Beth tells me, she says, after he's gone, I was like, "But what did the guy say?" She goes, he said the comic wasn't really that believable. And I'm like, "Well, what does he want? It's a comic book. I mean, come on, it's a comic book, guys. It's not supposed to be believable. It's supposed to be entertaining." And so I think sometimes there's a theme there. And I did talk to a guy on Saturday who came back today, by the way, who said that he goes, "I don't really read for pleasure." And Corey was like, "That's a really sad life." Sometimes she can't hold back what she says, but she's like, "That's a really sad life." But I'm noticing that a lot of people are either they don't ingest entertainment, or they're sick of entertainment, so they don't, some of all the political agenda and things. I heard that a lot, that people were tired of kind of the political agenda. No one outright said wokeness. They're not using that terminology because most people aren't in the political battle on social media, like a lot of other people, like anti-woke this or whatever. But they do sense that there's some kind of political and social agenda that people are trying to push, and it feels really preachy and they don't like it. And so that came across as I really, that really made a lot of sense. And the truth is, guys, if you're out there making a story, people just want to be entertained right now. And I think that getting out there and putting the book in front of them is smart. Now, I do a lot of crowdfunding, and I'm streaming right now. I do a lot of streaming and social media and things. But nothing can replace one-to-one contact with people. It's getting there and talking about your story, meeting the fans, shaking hands, and then using copious amounts of hand sanitizer afterwards. But it's the shaking hands, the signing autographs. It's that just interacting with people. It makes the experience a little more enjoyable, and I think it creates more of an audience for yourself than what you realize. So I know a lot of creators that all they focus on is social media and crowdfunding, and I suppose that's fine. I suppose that you could do that and be successful at it, and rather successful, but I don't know that that's the only model to do it, and I don't know that it's the best model to do it. So there's a couple things I'm going to talk about here in a little bit about hashtags and groups and affiliations that I've really come to really been thinking about and really been struggling with and dealing with over the course of the last couple of weeks. Probably closer to about a month now. Some things that I'll share and kind of my viewpoint with some stuff. And so hopefully that, hopefully you'll stick around for that. Because I would like to talk about that. Now, a couple things that I learned physically. The chronic pain definitely affected me this week. It was a struggle, to say the least. Every afternoon around 3:30, 4 o'clock, it hit. Pain just up and down my spine. Almost crippling on Saturday. It was so bad. Saturday was the longest day. It was a 10-hour day. We were in there from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. We didn't take any breaks. We were just there the whole day. Corey and I were. Friday was a shorter day. Today was the shortest day, and it was pretty good. I liked it. Today was okay. I had enough energy to get through it all. But Saturday was definitely the roughest day. So not only did that kind of play a part in it, I learned a few things about my setup. Things are working pretty good with the new setup, the new banners and things like that. Side note, a real happy accident. I decided on the backdrop, we got a 5-foot backdrop that's 7.5 feet tall. And it's a double-sided stretch kind of sign that comes over this frame. And I decided to do it double-sided so I could change my mind, on like maybe what I wanted to display at different conventions. And so a happy accident that happened. This particular convention, I was on the back wall, facing the back wall by the food. And there was people behind me, but there was no divider. Normally they do pipe and drape in between, and there was none of that. So it was just, we're back to back to each other. But the people behind me, they didn't have a banner or drop to go behind them. So my drop was behind them, so you could see it. So subsequently, as you're walking down this back main kind of hall along the end caps, once you get to a certain point, you got a straight shot, and you can see my bright banner with all these pinups and covers that I had drawn that are printed on it. Looks great, and it has my name right there in the middle. So it was kind of an extra bit of advertising. So a nice, happy accident. Didn't realize that would be a thing. Didn't plan for it, but it worked out in my favor because people didn't come around. They saw the artwork. They would come around to talk to me. So it probably got me a few more sales. Sold some prints. I did break bad on this one. I finally broke bad, and I did some pinup art, some fan art kind of stuff. Don't usually do that, but I did, and it definitely helped pay some bills. Not a lot, but a couple here or there. It doesn't hurt. But the majority of the things that were at my booth are definitely all my artwork. So I can still feel good about that, I guess. All my original stuff. So yeah, physically though, energy level was difficult to maintain, but I was able to stay awake, stay focused, and be working the whole day. The real area of concern is my voice and my lungs. So lung capacity is diminished. It's really noticeable in my ability to say long sentences without taking a breath or to hold notes. But one of the things that I was not prepared for was trying to project to be louder than everybody else. You think that the damaged vocal cords, that they're going to struggle, and they did. They're very sore, they're very raw, as you can hear. But what I wasn't expecting, now most people aren't aware of their lungs or their diaphragm, but I am. I had to relearn how to breathe on my own, and that process made me become very aware of the tissue around my lungs. Well, as I would talk throughout the day, trying to project, trying to take in more air and push more air out, all of that started to hurt really, really bad. And the only way to describe it, it's like heartburn without heartburn. So you get like that pain right here, it felt like this tightness in it, and just like fatigue stretched muscles is what it felt like around my lungs. So it made the days towards the end of the day really, really difficult. Now my neighbor next to me, a really well-meaning guy, a nice fella, but he kept like, well, you need to stop talking and let them take care of it. And I'm like, but I can't. It's not in my nature, It's not in my nature just to sit there and just, or to let somebody else do the pitch for the book. Of course, Corey did a great job on the pitch for the book, and we started working out this back and forth. It's like, okay, you bring him in, I'll talk for a second, then you talk, or you talk, and then I'll come in and take care of the transactions and stuff. But yeah, the voice and the lungs were surprisingly difficult to deal with. So moving forward, I think that means that I'm going to have to probably break down and use my little microphone. I've got this little microphone piece that goes here and has a little tiny Bluetooth speaker that has a wire to it. I can play my phone through or things like that, but it's primarily for addressing people. And I just didn't want to use it because I didn't want to be obnoxious. We had a guy walking around the convention that had a Bluetooth speaker playing music for his cosplay. And oh my gosh, this guy was obnoxious. And I'm not the only one that thought it. I mean, everyone, like, eyes were rolling. It was like a wave of eye rolls that followed every time he walked by. And I was like, oh my gosh, here comes the guy with the Bluetooth speaker playing the Game of Thrones stuff, So yeah, it's just, I don't want to be that obnoxious guy next to my neighbors. But I think maybe I'm going to have to do that. Until my lungs and projection and voice gets better, I think that's going to have to happen. Additionally, I think something moving forward is, if I do as well as I did with this convention at the others, I might think about doing 2 spots, or an in spot and an inline spot from now on, to have extra space. I just didn't have room to set up any kind of drawing for people to see that I'm doing sketch covers and that I'm taking commissions. So I didn't get any of that this weekend, where I normally would get at least a couple. And there just really wasn't a lot of room. So, we're getting ready to send book 9 to sign up. The last few pages will be done soon, and then we'll letter the book. The book will actually be completely done before we even get to crowdfunding. So I'll probably print some of the books up anyway and have them kind of before crowdfunding to show off and whatnot. But I mean, I didn't even bring all of those. I just brought some trade paperbacks, some number ones, the RPG, and some copies of Voodoo Nations that I still have. And so that's what I brought. And the table was packed. The little 6-foot table was packed. So I'm probably going to have to expand out and do more. Probably going to have to happen. Typically the word "that guy" is never followed by anything positive. True, very true. It's not, and I don't want to be that guy, So I hesitate to use the little microphone, but it worked out pretty. That might work out pretty good in the future if I have to. Now, one of the other things that I picked up on was, so as many of you know, I'm not pastoring a church anymore, and I have talked about doing this thing called Nerd Word Ministries, and occasionally on this channel we have more Christ-centered conversations around comics and our geekdoms, our fandoms and Christianity. I was able to have multiple conversations this weekend, 3 to 4 conversations about faith with people that I would never have had the opportunity inside of a church. There was something about this environment. It allowed for just kind of like free conversation with people, because there was this kind of thread that binds us all, that we're all in some way attached to geekdom. We were a little bit outside of the fringes of normal society. We're at a Comic-Con. Again, there's that freedom to let your weirdness show. And so we're all a little weird, in some way. So these conversations would just open up and, talking about who I am, like what I did, my faith, and how some of that plays into Now, I did have some weird conversations where some people's like went out, ooh, aliens and all weird kind of stuff. But honestly, I got a chance to have conversations I never would have had. And it started to make me think that maybe this is part of the path that God has for me going forward. The ability to be a light in a dark area and to have conversations of faith and to build relationships with people that wouldn't normally have a chance to have these conversations with. And yeah, Fizzard, the Bible is littered with examples of God making ways where you never expect. And as I was explaining to someone, Paul in the book of Acts is a tent maker there. And he meets this guy named Aquila and his wife Priscilla. So he's in the city, and Aquila and Priscilla are exiled from their home. And so they're moving to this city. And Paul finds out that they're coming and that Aquila is a tent maker. And so they start working together. But not only do they work together, Paul winds up staying with them for a year and a half. He rents a room from them for a year and a half. And while they're working, they're obviously doing life together, doing all kinds of stuff. At some point, Paul obviously shares his faith with them. Because after a year and a half, Paul decides that it's time to move on to another city. And when he decides to leave, Aquila and Priscilla, they follow him. They go with him. Now, they wind up staying behind wherever they're at when Paul leaves there, and then they go somewhere else. The next time we hear about this couple, they're called Priscilla and Aquila. Now, I think order of words matter. Very important. They're very much in Scripture, okay? So the next time we hear about them is Priscilla and Aquila. They're the pastors in Rome. So we know like what was going on with Nero's bloody reign and all that kind of stuff. But, we can read about what Priscilla and Aquila were what they did and the work they did in Rome in the church that they helped build and nurture there. Now, that would have never happened. Their story would never have been there had Paul not been a tent maker and started working with her husband. So there's definitely something to be said about being a tent maker. And I think the comics thing is kind of my tent making right now. So that's pretty interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how God plays that out in my life. Not only just being an artist, a writer, doing these things and working for different people around Jacksonville and the United States doing graphic design for them, but also with the comics thing and all of that. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing kind of where that goes. And so that's an interesting aspect to the weekend that I wasn't expecting. I just kind of went there with the idea I'm going to try to make some money and hopefully make my table feedback, which I did. I did in spades. I mean, it went really, really well. But back to the thing that I mentioned earlier about people were just really interested in good quality stories. Most of the people I talked about, they don't know about the SJW baloney that happens in comics. They don't care. They don't even know who Mark Brooks is, let alone his opinion on people in the industry. They don't care. They don't know what Comicsgate is. They don't know. They've never been to the Wikipedia. None of this stuff matters to them. They're just there. A lot of them don't even read comic books. They're there because of cosplay, because of anime, because of the movies they've watched. And they just want good stuff to read. They want good stuff to ingest. They want stuff that's safe for their families and for their kids. I sold so many books to little kids that were just interested in them. in the story. They were interested in the characters that I had on the backdrop behind me. They just were excited about life and about this whole geek culture, the costumes, everything was so more. And Mo Big said, because of anime, say no more. Anime was taking over there for sure. There were more anime cosplays than anything that I'd ever seen, which makes me think I think some of the fan art that I need to do is anime stuff or manga stuff, and maybe I'll sell more of them. But I do tend to grab more obscure things, like I did Layla or Scarlet Scarab from the TV show, from the Moon Knight TV show. And someone, when they saw that, that's like their favorite character, that version, how she was portrayed. Even though that character is gender, not only are they gender swapped, but they're a bad guy. In the comics now they're a good guy, which is kind of funny. But they saw that and they started to cry. They literally started to cry over this pinup art that I did. I drew her because I thought her hair looked very interesting, the texture, and I just wanted to draw it. And so what just was an interesting thing for me to draw turned out to be a pinup that, a poster that this person loved, and it was just that was neat. That was kind of fun. But people, they weren't really so interested in the politics of things. And while I was working, I noticed that there was a bit of drama on Twitter. Imagine that, drama on Twitter. Seems to always be drama on Twitter. I try to avoid it as best I can. But over the course of the last few weeks, several weeks, I've kind of been dealing and thinking about this kind of this thought. I've had this thought that's kind of just been brewing around. And I've talked with my buddy Nick Talkert about this, and a few other people. I've shared and kind of articulated the thought. Now, before I say this, my voice cracked. You hear that? Like I'm hitting puberty. Before I say this, hold on, let me a second. 1 second. Don't mind it. Anime, unfortunately, I think it's became more of a status symbol thing. Yes. There were definitely a lot of people that clearly they didn't know anything about the characters they were cosplaying, except for what it looked like, And yeah, there was definitely people that just cosplayed for status symbol, and they did that. And there's always going to be that. I think in every situation that you're in, there's going to be people that are, just about status in those things. And I definitely saw that there. There were some pretentious people, some elitist people. I'm too good for this. Like, why are you coming to like the most geek thing? You're not a cool kid. Like, you're being here makes you not a cool kid. So stop trying to act like you're a cool kid, and just be cool. Just chill out. Just be decent to people. Who cares what they like? If they like it, let them like it. Let them geek out over that thing. If you hate it, that's okay. You can hate it. It's all subjective anyway. Just move along. Just move along, Poindexter, and let's have a good time. So I wound up calling a lot of people chucklehead. And I was like, come on, chucklehead. Just relax. But no, it was a good time. But one of the things that this is something I've kind of been thinking about for a few weeks, and I just want to articulate it a little bit. But I want to preface it by saying that while I was sick, the people in the Comicsgate community came out and supported me and my family like nobody's business. I'm telling you, it was amazing. Just the camaraderie, just the care that was given. Many of the friends that I have in the neutral ground, or the anti-ground, they didn't really do or say anything. They maybe they said a couple things. Maybe they said a few things, but there wasn't a lot of action. There was some action by someone, and it turned out to be a rip-off. They ripped people's generosity off, and I feel bad about that. But even after I got back, Shelley Lopresti organizing a fundraiser so that I could get a MIDI keyboard to start practicing trying to play music again, which I've been doing, and starting to create music again through MIDI keyboard stuff. And and now I've got a left-handed guitar that I'm practicing with as well. So not only that, but Don Chen never told anybody, never asked for it, but that man he's a saint. I mean, he's a dude with a heart of gold, and just did some amazing things. He not only donated his art to other people to raise money for us, but he actually sold art and sent money to my wife. My wife, I remember she was like, yeah, people have just really been coming out and supporting. She goes, I don't even know who they are. And she started naming names, and they were all people in the Comicsgate community that I didn't even know who they were, really, or I didn't even know they knew who I was. And it was just tremendously heartwarming. So I want people to know that I love the people in the community, because there's some really good people in that community. Really cool people, kind people with great hearts. And I don't want the thing I've been thinking about to tarnish the way I feel about that. So here's what I've been thinking lately. I think it's, especially in light of Ethan did a tweet yesterday that people were talking about, and my private chat groups were no exception. They were all talking about it in those as well. The idea of paying our dues as creators, going out there and paying our dues. Now, here's the interesting thing about back then. You could pay your dues in the convention halls. Like, that's really where it was. You go, you make comic books, you do your thing. And I apologize, my dog's really getting at something back there. I don't know what she's growling about. But you could go out and you could pay your dues in convention halls. You work on different comic books here or there. You find smaller publishers to work with, and you do things like that. And it's all, that's what you do. You work your way up, and you work yourself into a situation to where you've got, to where you finally are at the level with your art and your writing and your abilities to be able to hang in those areas. And you get a lot of these people now in an independent realm that feel a bit entitled, like they feel like they are deserved some help or a handout or at least a life, at least a life vest from time to time. And I think that goes, that's on both sides of kind of the CG crowd, really. I think it's, you're going to find it kind of all over, really. But part of paying that dues is building your own brand. And I see so many people that they invest in the brand of something else, like they focus on like a particular publisher, and they are trying to build the name of that publisher, or they're trying to build a community or a network, and they're focused on building that network and that community. Comicsgate can be included in that, but I see it like these indie comic book networks and stuff like that too. But I think what we need to be focused on is building our name and reputation. I look at some of the people that get the guest pass at the conventions. They're given a free table. They're there not because of necessarily what they represent, but who they are and what they were able to achieve, and the name that they've made for themselves based on their talent and their skills and their hard work, not necessarily on who they know. And But there's a thing that's happened, I think, especially in Comicsgate, over the course of the last 5 years. I think early on, it was encouraged for everybody to pick up an oar and paddle. A rising tide lifts all ships, raises all ships. And that, I think, is, man, this is going to be unpopular, but I'm going to say, I think that's kind of a load of baloney, really. Because some of the statements that are out there, you've got to pay your dues. You're not entitled to sit at the table, and that's true. You're not. It's just because you can make a comic book doesn't mean you should. It doesn't mean that you should be able to make a living, get paid for making a comic book. All of that is absolutely true. That's not being debated. So the rising tide doesn't raise all ships. It raises all seaworthy ships, is what it does. But the problem with that whole grab an oar is when you take on a title that's so politically charged, like Comicsgate, you're now flying that banner, right? And it's about that thing rather than about your name and your reputation. It becomes about that reputation. And many times, there will be checks that people within any kind of movement like that will write that they themselves don't have to pay. There are people that can behave poorly and say and do things that are negative that it won't affect them and their business. But it does, like, what they say, crap rolls downhill. And so it rolls down and it falls to the people that had nothing to do with it. Here's an example. I mind my own business on Twitter usually. And I had somebody come after me about an argument they had with Ethan Van Sciver years ago. Like I had something to do with it. Or like Ethan's calling me up asking my opinion on stuff. Well, we don't know each other. We don't consult each other about our business. None of that stuff, right? I had nothing to do with it. Just because I agree with some points that he does about customer service and about quality and those things, doesn't mean that we're even in the same shipyard, So we may not even have the same tide if we're not even in the same shipyard, So it's like I am into the point in my life where I don't want to have to be held responsible for the choices that somebody else makes for their business and for their life and those kind of things. I was a pastor for 8 years. I was responsible every day for the spiritual well-being of a number of people and the choices they make and they made for their lives. It mattered to me. I was worried about their eternal soul. And now I'm making comic books. I don't want to have to be held responsible for an argument that a pro had with somebody, a couple of years ago that I have nothing to do with. And if a pro today picks a fight with somebody, I don't want that fight to come to my doorstep. When Mark Brooks inevitably starts yelling at somebody because Comicsgate this, Comicsgate that, I don't want his little minions coming to my door saying, hey, you're in this camp, you're flying, all this, bad. I'm like, dude, I'm minding my own business. I'm trying to build my own business. That's what I'm trying to do. I agree with the philosophical beliefs that customers should be respected, and that if a customer tells you they don't like your stuff, you shouldn't just dismiss them and be rude to them. We should never use the F-bomb with a customer. We should never cuss them out just because they have a problem with our work. We had a person that come back from Friday to Saturday, and what they wanted was a free print. They completely ignored everything that I said. I said, if you like this book, you come back tomorrow and you buy the trade, I'll throw in a free print. All they wanted was a free print. And so I was not at the table at the time. I was using the restroom. My daughter was covering the table. This person began to berate and and make a scene for my daughter. Now, my daughter, she doesn't know what to do with it. I would have told her, hey, you just need to move along or whatever. But, so my daughter is trying to be very polite. We're not yelling at this person. We're not going to cuss her out. We're not doing any of those kind of things because number one, that's not my brand. That's not what I do. I don't agree with that. If mainstream people want to do that, well, they can do that and run them off. They can come to my table. I'll take care of them. So I agree with that whole idea of taking care of them. My daughter just wound up giving her the print and saying, here, have a nice day. It diffused the situation. It cost me near nothing. And it got rid of the problem. I believe in being kind and courteous to the people that buy from you. And so if someone comes to me and says, hey, I don't like what you did there. I'm upset by this. I'm going to hear them out. If it's justifiable, then I'm going to take that. But if it's not justifiable, I'm going to nod, I'm going to smile, and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to cuss them out. I'm not going to call them names. I'm not going to do that stuff. So when the mainstream does that, I totally agree they shouldn't do that. I also believe that stories shouldn't be preachy. They shouldn't have some kind of an agenda that doesn't belong in comic books. People want to be entertained. They don't need to watch Colossus drone on about how bad Twitter is in a coffee shop. Not that that's happened yet in a comic book, but give it time. That doesn't need to. They don't want that. They want representation matters, but so does a lot of other things. And they just, I don't think a character that's well established should be bent to pander to a group of people. I sat next to this guy named Nico, and he had this comic book, which is a very interesting and exciting book that has a new original person of color as and I even hate the POC thing. It had a black guy. It was him. Had him as the hero of the book. And what a cool thing. What a cool thing. Because other kids come up that look like him and were excited about that character. And I was excited for him too, because they were getting excited about it. So representation matters. But we don't need to be taking characters that are well established and switch it to be pandering. Because I also think that's insulting. Because little kids don't know to be racist until someone makes them racist. Someone teaches them about that stuff. They have done that Twitter story. Oh my gosh. Mo, I was joking about that. I had no idea that they actually did that. Oh wow. People don't want that. People clearly do not want that. So I agree that. Now I also agree that the most talented person should work on the book. I don't think that when I'm putting together a creative team, it's like, oh well, I need someone who's black, I need someone who's trans, I need someone who's alphabet. It doesn't matter. We shouldn't look at that to, oh, I'm going to hire this person because it's going to sell books to a certain demographic. No, I don't believe in that. And I think that if you're a good writer, you should be able to write any kind of character in any kind of scenario. Sadly, there's not a lot of great writers in comic books these days. There's some decent ones, but not a lot of great ones. But if you're a good writer, you should be able to write anything and make it believable. You should write from a broader perspective than just your own. And you shouldn't have to self-insert in these things. So I agree with a lot of these things, right? I'm in line with many of those things. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to build my brand and my reputation. I have to put in the dues. I have to put in my dues, pay my dues, so that I can finally get a seat at that table, at that pro table. Now, unfortunately, when we're company men, when we toe the line, when we grab an oar, and we're trying to build a brand, like Comicsgate, or let's say you're in a publisher like Scout, and you're trying to build a brand. It's less about you and your reputation, and more about the reputation of the whole. And then you have to start trying to police the whole, which makes it's not a lot of fun to do that now, is it? I really don't want to be the morality police or the the morality hall monitor with people and be like, hey, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't get in that fight. But sometimes people get in fights in an industry and they don't have to deal with the consequences. People down at the bottom have to deal with the consequences of those fights. You know, when the pros were fighting and they were in the, they were pushing people out with the Whisper Network. Pros that affected them. That affected them. And it sucks that people made that fight disagreement about politics. They created real world circumstances, real world kind of casualties for this stuff. It's stupid that they did that, and it's wrong that they did that. Now people try to go after this whole cancel culture thing. It's disgusting. It's terrible. The sad part is, though, when you are trying to, again, when you're trying to build a brand that's not your own, now you have to worry about the canceling of an entire brand because of the behavior of a single person. I was with a small publisher, and one of the people said some very disparaging things during the whole George Floyd situation. And it was problematic. Like that time, that word, I understood that was problematic. And I was like, I have to kind of step back from this for a little bit, because that is negative, and I see the emotions that created in people, and they're saying very negative things about that guy and everyone that he's associated with. Now, I don't believe in guilt by association. I think that's stupid too. I think we got to stop that baloney, right? We see it here too, and I even see it inside of like these smaller subgroups. Like, oh, well, you're friends with so-and-so liked so-and-so's tweet. So now we can't like you, or you can't be a part of our club. You can't be in our DM group for whatever reason. We do stupid things like this, childish things like this, and people get really paranoid, and they start looking back through people's tweet history and their like histories, and they're paying attention to everybody else's social media wall instead of actually making anything and trying to produce anything. They're not working on their brand. They're working on the brand of something else. And when you do that, you have to police everybody. You have to focus on everybody. So the thing that I've been thinking about and what I've learned walking in this convention hall this week and talking to people in the public and kind of being a part of trying to just entertain people and make good comic books is that I think that the only hashtag that I'm worried about for a little while, I want to build the community in general, indie comics in general. But the only one I'm really going to hashtag I got to focus on for a little while is Luke Stone. Is hashtag me. Hashtag no hashtags. Because I need to build my brand. I need to pay my dues. And I really learned that this week. I mean, there's a lot I don't know. I'm catching on. And every time I draw a new comic book page, I'm working with another publisher doing some work for them. I'm doing pages for hybrids. We're working on every script that I look at. We're doing the out of obscurity thing. Every script that I look at and I work on, I realize, even for all I know, there's a lot more that I don't know. For every page I draw, I realize for however good I might be now, or however good I might have gotten, I'm still not quite where I want to be or need to be. When I look at the art of like a guy like Dale Keown and see how talented that guy is, that's where I want to go. That's what I want to do. When I look at like Graham Nolan's work, or I look back on some of these other greats, those are the reputations that I want to have. I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of work to do, and I need to build my reputation You guys need to know that you can trust me to work hard every day to make better product, to make better content, and to make sure that I get it to you on time, to find the best vendors, the ones that are going to get me product on time, so I can offer things at the lowest price, to not always have to go to crowdfunding to get it to you, to be able to get it to you on my website. You guys I have to earn your trust. I do. And one day, I will get to the point to where you guys say, look, Luke, you deserve a seat at the head table. And at that point, I can then start focusing on the brand of everybody else around me. But for right now, because I'm trying to honor God with everything I do, and I'm trying to provide for my family, I'm trying not to bring embarrassment on anyone, and I'm trying to make the people I collaborate with have something that they can be extremely proud of. I have to focus on the Luke Stone Studios brand. And so that is the thing I've been thinking about, and probably the biggest takeaway that I have from this weekend is that I need to work on that brand. And I need to work on that and building my mailing list, and not just trying to find fans based on a YouTube market or a Twitter market, but I need to find real people that maybe haven't read comics in a long time. I talked to a guy who hasn't bought a comic in years, hasn't read one. He goes like, yeah, it's probably been 20, 25 years. And he's got a Hybrids book now. It's the first comic book he's owned in 2 decades. And I got to sell it to him. It got to be my book. And he's going home and he's reading it now. You know, I mean, that's exciting. There was a little kid that was there that was looking at the book and wanted it, and he didn't have any money. And so I gave him the book. I'm just gonna eat the cost. It's a little kid. He's looking at the book. He doesn't have money. Here you go. His mom come back up and thanked me because she found out about it. She thanked me. She goes, you know what? That's his very first comic book. He's never had one before. He's so excited. I gave the kid his very first comic book this weekend. I just started his collection, man. That feels really, really cool. I saw that my neighbor, these little kids coming up and looking at him. And as he's telling the story about his character and all this kind of stuff, I looked at him and said, look, man, you may not be Stan Lee. Because he had this picture of him and Stan Lee that he was showing off. He's like, yeah, I met Stan Lee. And I said, dude, you may not be Stan Lee, but you're that kid Stan Lee. Like, that kid right there, man, you're a hero to that guy now. Like, you might inspire him to make comic books, or to write stories, to make movies, to be an actor, to join politics, to be a civil rights activist. You have no idea what you might have just happened and created with this guy right here, man. Like, that's cool. And I just don't want to be a part of pointless internet drama. You know, I want to chase that feeling of like getting into comic books, and eventually I'll earn a seat at the table. You know, I'll earn your respect. I'll earn your dollars. You know, you'll say, okay, Luke, now you're up there. Now you're in the, you know, now I'll break 10K when you think I'm ready to break 10K. When I make a book and I tell a story that you believe in enough, I'll make 10K. I know I will. When I have elevated my talents and my abilities and my team enough, and we make a book that is worth it, I'll make 100,000. I know I will. But there's got to be time that goes into that, and a lot of it's going to be just not being on the internet. You know, plants grow in the dark. Really, a garden grows in the dark. I'm going to be here at my tablet working. I'm going to be drawing, be writing, be trying to produce. So I can't be involved in all that stuff. And I'm going to be at conventions, hustling like crazy, working hard for $2 a pop or $5 a pop. Just grinding. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and not getting involved in that. And if you see me fly a hashtag, it's It's not going to be a, you know, it's not going to be to build a brand, but it's, I don't know. You're probably not going to see me fly any hashtags for a while. And it's not because I don't like anybody or because I'm mad at anybody. It's just because I need to focus on me, and I need to focus on my branding and my family and my business to earn my place at the table. So, and I encourage other people to do the same thing. Man, if you're making a comic book right now, if like you're out there doing that, you make comic books, my encouragement to you is to go to at least one convention. Take your book out there. Meet some people. As much as we tell people that are kind of like nutty, like left crazy, SJW nuts, hey, go touch grass. Dude, guys, go out there. That's like touching grass, man. Go out there and talk to somebody that likes comic books. Talk to them. You'll know if your story's good or not. If if they come back around to buy your book, if your pitch works, and you worry about, we hear Malin talk about, you got to have a better pitch. You got to work on your pitch. I'll tell you, that'll work on your pitch. If you give it 35 times in one day, I'll tell you, you get real good at shortening that thing down so you don't got to talk so much. I think I worked on my pitch. I think I finally got my pitch for hybrids where I want it. It's pretty short to the point. So yeah, I'm liking that pretty much. So it's having a good time with it. Mo says, if it's grabbed at the convention, there's a good chance security will be one touching it as they confiscate it. No. There were definitely a few people that reeked of the herb. But I mean, it is, just outside of Jacksonville. So if Jacksonville, Duval County, go Jags, by the way, destroyed Indianapolis today. Way to go. If Duval County, if Jacksonville had its own candle scent, it would be weed and BO. That would be it, weed and BO. So yeah, but yeah, that might be the grass there. I'm gonna check the chat real quick and say hi to everybody that's here. I've just been rambling and not talking to you guys, and I apologize. I have been watching, but in case this goes into playback, people want to check out on the update, because this is, this covers a lot of update about what I went through this weekend, things I learned physically, what I'm capable of. So you can watch the whole thing back if you want. Watch it in like 2 times speed. Get caught up really quick. It'd be nice. But I got Andrew White. Thanks to Andrew White for being here. Really appreciate you tuning in and watching, being with me tonight. I've got the Indie Wrestling Aces. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We got the Fizzard. The Fizzard is here. Thanks for that. Mo Biggs is always in the chat. Whenever you're here, it's always a better chat when Mo is here. And unfortunately, I don't have the pork pie on for you. I really only wear that on Thursday mornings. If I do wear it on Thursday mornings lately. It's been too hot to wear a hat. But I might have a new hat coming. Tomorrow night on Nerdcap. Not tomorrow night. Tuesday night on Nerdcap. We're talking about what I bought on Amazon, so we might have something new. And Andrew Davis, great guy, fun guy to be hanging around. Got a great show, great promoter of people. Glad that you liked the topic. Thank you very much. And then we've got, who else? We got 24 Eyes. Thanks 25 Eyes for showing up and tuning in and checking it out. Really do appreciate you being here. We got Mike Jimmy. Mike used to hang out with me all the time. Hasn't been lately. And I really do miss hanging out with Mike Jimmy. He's got a great show about animation that you guys should check out if you're interested in learning that stuff. Even if you're not, there's some interesting things that happen with there. He says a rising tide raising all ships shouldn't be seen from the perspective of everyone deserves this, but you as a person helping others get further in their journey in your help as you've already been. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do. I want to help people get there along with me. I certainly don't want to, I'm not talking about going solo. I'm talking about working on my crew, the people that I've got with me that, my collaborators and my friend, those people that I'm closest with, kind of getting there. But you can't help someone if you don't have a platform. And so I've got to build my platform. I've got to earn seat at the table, so to speak. As to use the analogy that's been thrown out there. Um, and then okay, we've got Chuck Reardon. Chuck, great to have you here tonight. Thank you for stopping by. It says kids look up to what makes them look up. They don't look for color, race, religion, sex, orientation. Kids have the purest interpretation of life, just what makes them happy. Exactly. So there's these two little girls that were there. Their brother and sister, respectively, were in Stranger Things. They were some of the kids that were in the hospital with Elle, the little kids this last season. And so they were obviously older, but the little girl, one of the little girls, both little girls were actresses. One has done a lot of food commercials, and the other one was in Cobra Kai, the last season of Cobra Kai. She was at the birthday party. She was getting her face painted. And so, but these kids were just so excited about life, running around the convention, and it made me excited. Now, there was another kid that was there, but this kid was in his 60s. The Captain Mayhem, Captain William Mayhem, the magician pirate of St. Augustine was there, right across from me the whole weekend, and he was just in character, the pirate thing, loving every moment of life, just great. It made me want to become a pirate. I'm telling you, it really did. It was pretty awesome. So it was really awesome to see that, and but kids are so pure, and they just love stuff. They just love life. They love. It's just. It's awesome to see. It's awesome to see that, and to be able to share that, and just to create stuff, and not be involved in stupid internet drama and bullying and picking on each other and it's fun to pick on each other a little bit, but at some point, it's got to be, it's got to be better than that. And we got Belmont here, Belmont Press here today. Thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you being here. And Rick Bradley's here. Good evening, Rick. Great to have you here, Telepathic Bunny. We got your back, brother. Thank you. T-Bun, you're part of that circle. I'm trying to help elevate as best I can. Am I sure it just wasn't Weeb B.O.? No, that might have been at the convention, Weeb B.O. But Duval is definitely Weed and B.O. But yeah, Weeb B.O. very, very calm. It was, here's the thing about some of these people wore the same costume all weekend, and I know they were sweating. It's Florida. It was hot. And there was a couple, they would walk by and they would leave a trail of green odor, hanging in the air. It was how do you clean? I want to know how you clean some of these things that you wear. I don't get it. I don't know how you clean these things. There's got to be a way. I mean, you just don't you don't put them in a washing machine. It's bad. And then there were furries there. There's people in full furry stuff. And that's just a lifestyle I don't understand. I'm not trying to bash anybody here, but just the idea of putting on a mascot type costume and going out in public willingly, it just doesn't. I don't get it. It just doesn't. I don't understand it. Oh, and so I had my 13-year-old son with me today, and I almost had to cover his eyes. There was a lady. She was walking right down the convention hall. She had a bra on. And I mean, I have no idea what she was wearing. I mean, it was it was hardly anything, but she had a bra. It was not even decorated to be some kind of. It was a black lace bra. That's all she was wearing. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. If you're really into softcore porn, you would love a convention. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. People just body confidence too. And it's funny. There's this comedian called Chris Fleming that he says that he goes, isn't it funny that the people that are polyamorous are always the ones that that you really don't want to be polyamorous? And it's kind of a joke he does. It's funny concept, but it's kind of the same thing. There's a lot of body confidence in a convention, and sometimes it's people that you wish weren't so confident. It's come on, man. Like, seriously. Like, that's uncalled for. We got Woke Breaker here. Thanks, Woke Breaker, for showing up tonight, listening to me rant and ramble a little bit. It's been a lot of fun. Been a lot of fun for me. And then, yes, all hail hybrids. Woo woo. We sold a lot of hybrids today. So I had a box of 100 of issue 1. I'm down to 4. Got 4 issues, 4 copies of issue 1 left. And so the next convention, I'm meeting up with Randy in October 8th at Bowling Green, at the Corvette Museum. So if you're in the area, October 8th, come out and check us out. Randy and I will both be there, but he's bringing some books, some more hybrids books, and I'm gonna need them because, man, I blew through those. I guess I got my pitch down to the point where people wanted them, like people were buying the book, and then I had people read the first issue and came back and bought the trade. So out of all the trades, first printing trades that I had, I've only got 4 left, and no, wait, 3. I've only got 3 left. I've only got 3 left of those. So 4 number 1s and 3 trades. That's all I got left. And so I'm pretty excited about that. That's pretty good. It's a good weekend for Luke. I'm pretty excited. Obviously, here it is, 11:45. I've been working all weekend, and I'm still up. I'm jazzed. I'm extremely exhausted. I'm in a lot of pain, but man, am I still jazzed from the weekend. It was like proof of concept that, I can do this full time. I think that, making a go of this art and being able to provide for my family is in the cards. I think it is. And so Mobig says, there's a red-haired kid in Cobra Kai who is always in the background and never says anything. He reminds me of the random red-headed kid who shows up at the end of Bad News Bears. No explanation. Right? Yeah. But this kid, man, she was so cute. She goes, I had pigtails in that one, and man, it was. She's just So my wife asked for her autograph. She goes, well, I've met someone famous today. Can I have your autograph? Oh man, this kid's face lit up like you wouldn't believe it. She's like, yeah. She goes, this is my first autograph I've ever signed. She signs the autograph, gives it to my wife. Man, I'm telling you, she was so excited. Just seeing that joy and that excitement of the kids was, it's kind of worth it. We've got D Rhino, Dr. Hino, Luke. I'm your father, Darth Hino. Yes, you are. You can be my father today. That's okay. Start a side hustle, selling deodorant at conventions. That's a ministry all in itself. I think I could take up donations to give away free deodorant. I think people in the convention hall would give donations to give away deodorant to people. Much needed. Much needed. It was bad. It was bad. Sometimes body confidence just means being in body denial. You know what? I've never been in that much denial. At one point, I'm... So, in all of my years of marriage, up until 2021, no woman had seen me naked other than my wife since we were married, right? Well, since we had started dating. But when I got sick, I think like every nurse and doctor and, medical patient, like medical student in Northeast Florida has seen me nude now. And I lost like 85 pounds. And even when I was at my worst and I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to pretend like this isn't happening. And just like kind of let things happen. I still wasn't in as much denial as some of those people were. I'm telling you. Denial. So bad. And Wokebreaker says, when I'm not poor, I'm going to get one. Mo Biggs always coming in with the zingers here. I don't think the reason they stink is that they are for some reason unable to figure out how to purchase deodorant outside of the convention. They just don't want to. You should sell Febreze. Yeah, but I think I don't even think they want to stink. I think what it is, some of these costumes are impossible to wash, and there's got to be some kind of product out there that you can spray to clean this, like maybe like a Febreze substance, or I'm not sure. There's got to be something that you can spray, or some way to steam it. without the glues coming loose. I don't know, but you can't wear a costume that long and sweat that much and it still smell fresh. It's just impossible. I don't know how they're doing. I don't know how to. I don't know how they would do that. Everybody says nice. I was talking with a friend about comics today and told her about hybrids, and I'm going to let her borrow the issue I have. She really wants to read them. Man, that's awesome. And I'm getting ready to put up new copies of hybrids on the website of the remastered issues, and we're getting ready to send off anybody. There's still a few spots left on the crowdfund I'm running on my website to get the trade paperback. The first 25 will get a free print, and I'm only doing this print one time. I'm making 25 copies of it. That's it. Okay, so the first 25 people to buy that trade and to help me out with that, they're gonna get a copy of it. So that's what you get, you know. So jump over there on my website, lukestonestudios.com, and check that out, and follow that link. It says Hybe TPB V1. it's the crowdfund for that I'm running from my own website. So yeah, we're working on that. Chuck Riordan says that that part of the hustle, Mo, if you can sell them that. Yeah, it would be part of the hustle, I think. Let me see what else we got going on here. Sugar Chris is here. Welcome, Sugar Chris. Thank you so much for jumping in and be a part of this tonight. I can't believe I said I was going to go like 30, 45 minutes, and here I am, an hour 20 later, still just rambling on. So I guess that's. I guess I do have the gift of gab, don't I? Oh, this is funny. Mobig says they need to make an anime where the hero gets powers from wearing special magic deodorant. That's the only thing that's going to turn these conventions around. I think so, yeah. Have that magic deodorant, and then we could sell that magic deodorant, you know, and they'll sell it for like $20 a stick, and I think it'll work out well. I think it works just fine, and they should Febreze. They should install Febreze misters at the entrance. I agree. If anybody's been to a convention, you know that it smells bad. It really does smell bad. Facebook user says, "Hey, how y'all? How are you, brother? How are you, bro?" Facebook user, I'm not sure who you are, but I'm doing really good. So thanks guys for stopping by and hanging out with me for a little bit. That was the recap of the weekend. The organizers over there, the convention has gotten better and better every time I've gone. Now I missed because of the Sabian, nice to see you, buddy. I was not there because of COVID, the year everything shut down. And then last year I wasn't there because I got COVID and was in the hospital. And so it's been since 2019 since I was there. But the convention organizers have gotten better at placement, putting everything in. It's gotten bigger. It's gotten better guests. And I miss you too, Sabian. I miss you too, man. We got to get together soon. But yeah, it's gotten better. A good crowd. I had a really good crowd in there. So there was plenty of people to sell to. And it was such a mixed crowd. It wasn't just people that were in there to cosplay and show that off. But there were people that were there to buy. There were families. There were individuals. There were collectors. It was really good. So the people that do the Ancient City Con, really, they've been stepping it up. Looking to go into that one. If you want to do something in Florida next year, it's going to be in September. It's every year in September. I'm going next year. I'm booking a table already. Of course, this time I think I'm going to book an end cap and an inline table, because I'm pretty sure I can make my money back on that. I think I did pretty well this one. I made the table fee back, and like I said, in spades. I made it back really. I made it back in the first day, and yes, we did really good. God was with us. He helped us out, man. I said a little prayer every day. God help me just be profitable for the day and give me interactions with people that can be positive, that I can be your light and just kind of shine for you. And he did. It's funny when you kind of give the day to God, he'll use it sometimes. Not every time, but sometimes he'll use the day. You're like, okay, and he does it. And he did that this weekend. It was a good time. And I'm very excited about the future and about what we're going to be doing. Again, we do have to adapt a few things physically. You know, not as strong as I used to be. But we're getting there. We're getting there. So, with that, I think I'm going to let you guys go for the night. Thanks again, everyone, for showing up. Table fee, Sabian, was $200 for an inline artist table. But I had to pay at the last minute because somebody canceled, and so I took a spot. But if you sign up early, it's cheaper. I think they have an early bird special. So I'm definitely booking for next year, so it would be a early bird. I'm gonna get it as low as I can. Yes, thank you. Thanks, Mo, for being here. Hail Mo, hail chat. Thank you guys for being a part of it. Again, no panel, just me talking and you guys talking back at me. It's fun to hang out here on YouTube together, and some of us on Facebook together. Try your best to build up more than you tear down, and leave the wood pile higher than you found it. You know, let's make something awesome. Let's go out there and make awesome and do awesome. It could be a better world. Try to make the world a little bit better place for somebody tomorrow. Find, like, I decided, one last thought. I decided that if everybody decided not to be a jerk in traffic, if they picked one thing, like let people merge over, if everybody just did that, allow people to merge over, if everybody decided to do that, that became the new norm, the world would suck less. So if we could find one thing that we can all do, and all do it, maybe the world can suck less. Because sometimes the world sucks pretty bad. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm trying to help Luke deal with the stench of weebery that pervades every convention, rather than being part of the problem, like you. Oh my gosh! Shots fired! Shots fired in the chat. But you guys crack me up. Sugar, you keep wearing that red dress. Mo, you keep being snarky. Everybody else, you guys have a great night. Thank you guys. I want to leave you guys with something. I gotta leave you guys with some kind of something here. Let me leave you with. I know what I should leave you with. Today was quite a circus. So the last weekend. So here's a little Benny Hill as we head out for the day. Thanks for being here. Love you guys. Don't forget to check out Nerdcap Tuesday night at 10 p.m. And we'll run that for about an hour or so. And then Thursday morning at 9 a.m., we'll be right back here. I'll be here with my co-host Nick Tockard. We're going to be talking more about the tools that we like to use to create art and to create books and things like that. Some software that we've tried and didn't work. And some different subscription plans they've got out there that's been really helpful for us. So we're going to try to throw out some tools for you along with the silliness and goofiness that is Nerd Bacon. So check that out, and also look out for all the other Genesis Crew stuff that's been popping up here on YouTube. They're doing some great stuff. So you guys have a great night, and God bless y'all.